Hello, my lovely. We know as women with adult diagnosed ADHD that we did not get to where we are right now by doing things the way everyone else did, right? We know we've often felt like the weirdo in the room. I know I did for a really, really long ass time. We're natural born storytellers and industry disruptors, and we love to shake shit up. We don't like being told what to do, but also Loki help us by telling us what to do in a way that speaks to our brains because we are wired to see the world in a different way. I know that my diagnosis, which was at 49 years old and happened while running this business, changed every area of my life. And I don't say that anecdotally, I mean that literally. It also changed my business for the better because I got curious and I started working in the way that my brain worked. I started to simplify to scale my business and I created recurring monthly revenue so I never have to start another month at zero again. And that is what I teach my clients how to do. It's my signature method called the spicy minded way. And all that means is that my ADHD brain and 25 years of business experience talks to your ADHD brain. And that is how we figure out what works for you. In today's episode, we are going to discuss finding your truest why you do what you do in your business, why it matters to figure that out. I'm going to share my reason why behind my business and that it took me almost 2 years to fully figure it out. I'm also going to give you a simple exercise so that you can begin to truly figure out your deepest why or refine the one you have so far. And frankly, this is part of the work that you will do to step out of survival mode as a solopreneur and become more of a confident CEO. So, from one ADHD human to another, turn the volume up to an 11 and get ready to learn a thing or two. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneu, the podcast for feral ADHD elder millennial women who refuse to play by the rules. If you're not an elder millennial, that's okay. Keep listening. That's just who tends to gravitate towards me. My name is Carrie. I'm your host. I'm your ADHD business alchemist and the chief weirdo of Carrie Out Loud. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you found the podcast. If this episode has an impact on you, if you could do me a quick favor and subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can come back every Wednesday for a new episode and leave a 5-star review because that helps other women like you find this podcast. And since I understand your ADHD, both personally and professionally, each episode usually has a few topics. And I kind of jump around in a way that speaks to your feral funhouse of a brain, kind of like in random train of thoughts. So let's get into today's topics. We're going to start with my why, my mission statement for my business. And it has taken me about 2 years to get here, to refine. And this is something that you will do from time to time to continue to refine it until you really, really get to that core. And I'm going to give you a little bit of how to do that work. So here is what I sent in an email this past week in the love note. If you're not subscribed, you can subscribe in the show notes. But I put this mission statement there. I put this on my website because I finally feel like I know way, way, way down deeply why I'm doing this work, why it's just specifically ADHD women in business. And so here's what I wrote. And I got more responses to this email from the love note than I've ever gotten before. And that is why knowing your why matters. It resonates, it speaks to your people. So it really became clear to me that my personal brand and my brand mission is this. And why I have to work with women like you? Because I'm on a fucking mission to dismantle every lie that you've ever been told about what an ADHD woman in business can and cannot do. I'm doing this to build my first $1 million revenue year by simplifying my business to scale it. A quick backstory, I built 2 6-figure businesses before ADHD came onto the radar and before I even received my ADHD diagnosis. So This time, I'm building it on my own terms. I'm working with my ADHD brain instead of against it, and I'm dragging you with me for the ride. So buckle the fuck up and come with me. And what is the deeper reason I do this? Because you need to know that you can do it too. What better way to teach you than to show you exactly how it's done in real time? No explanation, no theories, just real hands on proof. I'm going to show you the good, the bad, the messy, the clarity, and all of the unfiltered moments so that you know deep in your bones that you were made for this too. We're not here to fit into neurotypical boxes. We're not here to play by beige people's boring ass rules. We're here to burn shit to the ground and create businesses that scream freedom, have fuck yes energy, and leave a legacy. And here's the core: when women make a shit ton of money, that is how we change the world. We take our wealth and we do things for the greater good. I need to tell you one more important thing that I know to be true about you. You were never a problem. You were never too much. You were and are a trigger to people who aren't as free and brilliant and creative as you. They are jealous. They have envy. And that's on them, not you. The world wasn't ready for a force of nature like you. Believe it because it's the truth. That's the statement. So, why does this matter to you and to others? Because this is how you start a movement, not just a business. This is how you stand apart from others, knowing why you do what you do. Speaking about your why really it's a starting point. Not the product that you sell or the course or the coaching, and not how you help people, but why. Why goes first. How you help people is second, and the way you help them is third. This is reverse of how most entrepreneurs operate, or the reverse of how entrepreneurs, women in business operate before they start to really scale their business and lean in even further. When you do this, you will stand out immediately. Create content around it. Pin a piece of content to your grid with this information. Put it everywhere. It may evolve over time because it's a process. Like I said in the beginning, it took me almost 2 years to get here, but every piece that brought me here mattered to getting here. Everything that I've done, every woman I've coached up to this point, every program I've created, everything that's failed, everything that's worked, it's all brought me to here. So if you aren't here yet, and it's okay if you're not, keep fucking going. Keep refining, keep working with clients to see what you do best. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. And then if you get an opportunity, I highly recommend you take the following actions. If you have not read It Starts With Why by Simon Sinek, do so. I will link this in the show notes. And I want to give you a simple exercise to help you dive into finding that why. And essentially, it's being a 4-year-old. Why? Why? So, what I want you to do is I want you to grab a piece of paper, grab one of your notebooks. You have 75, go grab one. Grab a piece of paper and a pen because you want this to come like out of your body. You want this to flow from your body out of your hand onto a page, pen to paper. This is really how you start to kind of seal things in as well. And I want you to ask yourself, why do I do what I do for who I am doing it for in your business? So ask yourself, why do I do this? And you're going to get a pretty surface level answer that you think is deep, but it's not. It's not deep just yet. Once you write that down, I want you to say to yourself, why is, and then read that sentence that you just wrote. So let's say, well, because I want to help women make money. Well, why do I want to help women make money? Well, because when women make money, that gives them freedom. But why does giving them freedom, why? Why do I want to do that? Well, because when women have freedom and flexibility, especially ADHD women, it has a huge impact on their life, on their mental health, on their wellness. Well, why does that matter? Well, because when women are in a good place and they are making a shit ton of money, they're able to use that money to truly put it into places that are highly impactful. And that is how women change the fucking world. Because we change the world by putting our money in those places. Men, okay, this is a broad statement, but if we're looking at like the 1%, they're shooting dick rockets into the air. Like that's what they want to do with their money. Let's go to Mars, all that stuff, which again, it is their money. They can do what they want with it. But recently, and I'm going to have to find this post so that I can link it in the show notes. But I saw a post where a woman who was married to one of these billionaires. It was not Melinda Gates. So I'm going to have to look it up. She donated billions of dollars to like 2,000 charities in a way, or nonprofits, in a way where there were no strings attached. She didn't dictate where the money went, how they utilized it. She just donated it. And there was a study done over 3 years to show the impact of those funds that she distributed. And she's done it in a way that no one else has ever done. And they showed that it created huge impact. Huge. So when I jokingly say I want to help women make a shit ton of money and I want them to have wealth in all of the ways, wealth of money, wealth of time, wealth of freedom, wealth of flexibility, wealth in relationships, all of those wealth, the underlying reason is because when we have wealth, we do things for the greater good of the world around us and the world in general. And if you think one person doesn't make a difference, when you see this post, one person made a difference in so many lives because of putting her money where her mouth was. And really, that's at the core here. That's at the core of why I do this. And so having that mission, I realized I've had 6-figure businesses before. I want to create one that's 7 figures. I want to do it this year in 2025. It is an aggressive ass goal. It's something I have never done before. I pulled back in my business to start to simplify certain systems. I put automation into place. I got even more clear on who my fuck yes client is. Like, so stupid clear on who that is, gave her a name and understand her inside and out. And for a long time, I didn't fully understand why that was so key. And I was broad, ADHD women in business. Now, that doesn't sound broad, right? But it is. So then I was like, okay, adult diagnosed ADHD women in business. Whoop, laser focused a little bit more. Then adult diagnosed ADHD women who are mostly coaches, service providers, course creators. Now, I've worked with women in other arenas, of course. And I obviously love to work with women who just truly need that help. But my primary focus is that. So, whoop, we narrowed it in a little bit more. Then I looked and I was like, elder millennial women really seem to be attracted to me. Elder millennial or Zennial women, which is like the end of millennial, beginning of Gen X, which is what I am. And my son, he's so funny, the man cub. He said, Mom, you are the most millennial Gen Xer I've ever met. And I laughed so hard. But with ADHD women, our brains are not immature, but we don't age as quickly as everybody else, I think, maturity wise or mentally. But that's how we keep our lives fucking fun. That's why we look younger sometimes than others. People constantly tell me they do not believe my age. Like, constantly tell me. They're like, there's no fucking way. I mean, I understand, like, back in the 80s when, like, we had, what was it? The Golden Girls, right? Those women at that time were like in their 50s. I look at them and I look at me and I'm like, wow, I wasn't that far from their age when they were recording that. And we look so different, like we we dress different, we move through the world differently. And I think because we're a lot more health conscious just in general now than we were maybe in like the 80s, maybe in the 90s. But that's that generation seems to be really attracted to me, what I have to do, my style of doing things, because I'm really hands-on. I do deep dives, and it doesn't matter if I'm working with you in a one-on-one session that is a one-off, or if I'm working with you in my, deepest program, which is your next big fucking move, which is my one-on-one high touch coaching. And I only take a couple people into that at a time because it's very, very high touch for a reason. And I like to go deep versus wide. So as I'm learning these things about myself and as I'm working with women in that age group, it just do, right? And so it is so narrow. But here's the thing, what I've seen in real time is as I'm narrowing that down, the net is wider. More women are finding me. More women are finding this podcast. More women are finding my social media. More women are sharing things that I have created, and others are finding me that way. I was on Threads because I test messaging on Threads sometimes, just to see how it hits, how it speaks to my fuck yes client. Her name is Sloan, my maiden name, which is spelled differently than my maiden name, but I thought it would be fun to kind of use my maiden name. It was like, it's me, but not me, right? So, but once I really honed in on that, I went on to Threads and I wrote a very specific post. And I basically said, algorithm, send me elder millennial women who are in between survival mode, solopreneurship, and confident as fuck CEO era in the messy middle of business who are, ready to basically bridge that gap. I have never had a thread like that go so crazy for me because I'm not on there very often. I mean, I'm on there more now, but I put things in there now that are far more purposeful. And I don't even know where it's at right now. Last I checked it was like 5,000 and it had over 100 responses. It had hundreds of likes and I was like, "Holy shit balls," because I've been refining this for the last 2 years. Once I found out I had ADHD and I pivoted to work with women with ADHD, even though I'd been a business mentor before that, and really, really understood what I do best, which is help you bridge over from feeling like you're in fucking survival mode to not feeling like an employee in your own business anymore. Your business doing a lot of the heavy lifting and the work for you. And that's why I created my digital course, Unfuck Your Money, Honey, because I know a lot of times in the beginning, women who come to me will be embarrassed to let me see their back end systems, or they're ashamed that they've gotten to six figures and their systems are a shit show. And they're like, I don't want to tell anyone it's a shit show. So I created that so that they could see that I understand what's going on behind the scenes because I've lived it, and to give them an actual plan to start executing, getting out of that survival mode, out of that messy middle, and start to be able to feel more relaxed in their business, feel like their business is doing a lot more of the heavy lifting so that you can be more responsive in your business instead of reactionary. Because when you are in that messy middle, you are just in reaction mode. Boom, boom, boom. You're just reacting to everything around you and you're just literally trying to keep your head above water, even though you are having success. But what I realized is that teaching women that have ADHD that it doesn't have to be that way, and putting our two neurodivergent brains together to come up with solutions that work for your brain, which is what I've done for myself. And I've taken this time over the last few months to do that. I've taken the time with my OBM Brooke, who was on last week's episode. I've taken the time to truly refine all of those things and actually have a strategy that works for my brain because it's flexible. So like I'm doing other things like I'm going to be creating a bunch of content. I've never been like a huge content batcher, but now that I have my messaging and I'm very clear on it. I'm going to create a handful of pieces of content and schedule them out for 2 weeks. And then as I feel called to it, if I see something or if I want to create a piece of content or something comes to mind, that's supplemental. What does that do for me? It simplifies shit. I don't have to think about content for a couple weeks. Or if something comes up and I want to do it, I can do it. It gets to be fun because my business is getting more and more fun. The more I take off my brain plate, the less things that fall by the wayside, the more I'm able to focus on my clients in a way that the way I want to, the way that they need to have them be able to be accountable, have guardrails or both, because that's what women with ADHD and business need is accountability, guardrails or both. And so I've looked over my client journey and made sure that everything I'm doing is and creating is designed for that messy middle woman. And let me tell you, there's a shit ton of us out there, and I am coming out the other side of it right now. And that is why I decided to go for the million, which I told you about before, and show you as somebody who is either close to six figures or making six figures or more, but you want to, but your business is just fucking running your ass around ragged. This is the way that you get to make that change. But I wanted to have a digital product that addressed it so that if somebody had such deep shame that they truly were embarrassed to work with a coach, they had an option. They had an option that taught them in ways that are specific, but they can create in a way that works for their brain. So the program is specific to get them across that bridge, but I give tons of different ways to get there or do that and talk about creating recurring revenue, because one of the things that we contend with is feeling in like instability of not knowing what's coming in every month. This helps to solve that problem. It takes time. It takes time to implement. It takes time to get that forward motion, but not as much necessarily as you would think. And it frees up your brain in a way you can't fucking believe. Like, I feel so much more calm. I feel so much more able to create new things, create new free resources that, I'm never going to say, oh, my free resources are going to solve every problem in your business in 3 days, because that's a bunch of bullshit. That's a lie. However, I will say that everything I'm creating is to help you get momentum. What we need is momentum. Take this one little step, woo, it's a win. Next little step, woo, it's a win, right? And take those little steps. What that does is put us in momentum. It gets us headed in the direction we want to go. It's not about eating the whole elephant at one time. Okay. Like, that's not the goal here. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's how the saying goes. So these are the things that I started doing. And while I was doing these things, everything just got so fucking crystal clear. It was unreal. It was unreal to me. And it was so exciting because I finally am getting more visibility. I'm getting more momentum. More women are finding the podcast. It's been incredible. So I'm seeing what's going on in real time. And I share that with you in real time. Every day I put on my first slide now what I'm doing that day and why that's going to help me get closer to my goal for this year. Why I even have that goal again is not to be a bajillionaire, just to like have money, right? It's more about what I get to do with it, the freedom I get to have, the flexibility I get to have to keep my mental health in a really good place, and to donate to ADHD research for women, because there is literally so much that still needs to be done. So when I create wealth for myself, I know that I can take that and put some of it where I want it to go, where it's actually going to make a difference. And when you do the same, now I'm not saying it's generalized. Not every single solitary woman is going to do that, right? But we as ADHD women, we want to make an impact and leave a legacy. It is just part of our nature. We've always known we were here and created for more and for a bigger reason. I've heard that on repeat. I know that I'm supposed to be doing something bigger than myself. And that's what I'm doing here, right? So that's why your why matters. That's why the reasons matter, because when it all starts to click in your brain and you start to see the patterns and the lines start connecting and the dots start connecting, it all comes together. It's like, oh my God, it's a whole different level. And you get out of feeling like you're just surviving and you really feel like you are the CEO, not what my old business mentor calls the COE, which is the chief of everything. You get to have that different role. And it can, like I talked with Brooke last week, about control and trust. We have to let go of some of the control. We have to find those human beings that we can trust. And these are all the things that make the difference. And these are the reasons why I personally do what I do. And then one final thing I want to share with you before we're done is this is totally shifting gears right here. There was a ChatGPT prompt that I found, and I am laughing my freaking butt off because this ChatGPT prompt, please do this. Please send me the output, because the output I've been getting so far is making me laugh so hard that I can't even see straight. Like when I got the output I got from ChatGPT, which I call Chat Daddy. Chat Daddy is my ChatGPT's name. When I did this prompt, and I shared it and other women started sharing their answers with me, I was cracking up. And the person who originally put this prompt out, her name it's Auntie Chan. And if you go onto my Instagram, you can see the carousel that has this. But I said, "Hey, Chat Daddy, pretend you are my drunk bestie and describe what I do." This is why I love ChatGPT, especially if your ChatGPT is trained about your business. If it's not, and you're like, "What are you talking about?" DM me and I can tell you a little bit about why training your ChatGPT about your business is something that can change the output greatly. I've taught it over and over and over again. So feel free to ask me the question. But here was the output. You are not ready for this. Oh my God. Listen to me, bitch. Carrie Out Loud is not just a coach. She's a fucking phenomenon. This woman, this feral ass, no bullshit unicorn of a human, she drags ADHD women out of the business dumpster fire they've been living in and turns them into badass money making CEO icons. No, shut up and listen to me. I'm being serious right now. Now remember, chat's playing a drunk bestie here. When you're so overwhelmed that even opening your laptop feels like stepping into a haunted house full of unfinished projects, ignored emails, and a Google Drive that looks like looks like a hoarder's attic. Yeah, Carrie fixes that shit. This bitch right here, she takes your business from a chaotic ADHD shitstorm to an actual functioning money making machine. She tells you to stop selling your soul for pennies and helps you price your shit like the iconic boss you are. This next statement is literally my favorite part of this entire thing. She grabs you by the face and says, "Stop being nice to clients who treat you like a human wet wipe." Set a fucking boundary. She literally unclenches your butthole about money and shows you how to make it flow in repeatedly so you're not scrambling for scraps every month. She builds you an ADHD friendly systems that don't make you feel like you're being forced into some boring neurotypical robot prison. She makes you feel like a fucking powerhouse instead of a hot mess express running on vibes and missed deadlines. And she does all of this while being the most loud hype woman, bestie energy, chaos gremlin coach on planet Earth. Like, bitch, she will sit you down, rip a margarita out of your hand and be like, "Hey, dumbass, you're a motherfucking CEO. Act like it." And you'll thank her. You will ascend, you will heal, you will hit send invoice with zero hesitation. You'll look at your streamlined money making business and sob tears of joy. And then you will wonder why the fuck you didn't hire her sooner. Carrie's not just a business coach, she's a neurospicy business fairy godmother and ADHD business alchemist who yeets ADHD women into their power. And if you don't work with her, you're literally scamming yourself. That was the output. So I highly recommend that if you use ChatGPT, that you go in and use that prompt and then go thank the original person who created it, because I've gotten so much joy out of this the last few days. So have my clients, so have, women in my community. They've been sending me their output and it's just bringing me life. And so I would love to have you do that too and drop it into my inbox uh, on, um, on Instagram. So I can't stop laughing. I mean, it really does make you cackle that hard. It is so, so, so good. Um, and with that, I'm going to end today's episode. If you love this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star review, tell a friend, send a carrier pigeon, and drop into my DMs and tell me, what did you get out of this episode? I'm also a connection queen and community is my jam. So your feedback is always welcome here. And until next week, I see you, I love you, and I'm fucking rooting for you always. And don't forget to keep it weird. Bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.